You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
They confuse us with so much life. Not even thinking that we will realize. And if we criticize, we could be ostracized. We don't know who to trust. That's why I say, Lord, please listen to this prayer that comes from before. Please send us another Moses again. Oh, we just can't go on this way. Please deliver us today. Thank you, make them oppress us stay. So the children could see their way. Make them get on their knees and pray. Then I'll be up to judgment day. Oh, just can't make it this way. Please deliver us today. Be like the Israelites did. Please send us another Moses again. Lord, we just can't make it this way. Yes, deliver us today. Oh, we just can't go this way. No, we just can't make it this way. Please listen to what I say. Yes, hurry up with judgment day. We just can't make it this way. No, we just can't make it this way. Must we get old and gray? And the children can't see their way. Oh, we just can't make it this way. Oh, we just can't make it this way. We like the Israelites living day. Please send us another Jesus again. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Lord, we just can't go this way. Lord, we just can't make it this way. No, 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 we just can't go this way. Please hurry up with judgment day.
Do not categorize the blessing by colors. It is not the colors you need to watch. It is the character. Watch out for the character. I'm going to tell you that there are three basic types of people that you will interact with if you are a child of destiny. Can I share this with you? The first group are confidants. Confidants. You will have very few of them. Confidants are those people in your life who love you unconditionally. They are into you. Whether you're up or down, right or wrong, they are into you. They are in for the long haul. If you get in trouble, they get in trouble with you. They'll come see you in the jailhouse. They'll come get you out the crack house. They're confidants. You can open up and share anything with them. You'll never inherit your kingdom until you find your confidant. You can't be David till you find your Jonathan. Having a good confidant is the key that unlocks the kingdom, because you were raised outside the gate and God's going to cause you to reach over the wall. You got to have a confidant behind the wall who can mentor you for what God is going to do next in your life. The problem with most people is that everybody they run around with is under them. And so you are forever feeding people who can't feed you. And after years of feeding them, they begin to drain you. You've got to have somebody who can feed you so you can feed somebody else. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Am I talking to anybody in here? You need the confidant then. The confidant is those few people that come along in your life that are for you. They are with you. They are intimately intertwined in your life. They are there to make sure that you reach your destiny. They will confront you. They will get in your face. They will get in your business. They will tell you when you're wrong because they are confidants. If you have 2 or 3 of them in a lifetime, you are a blessed person. Without them, you'll never be who God called you to be. You need to find your confidant. Number 2, the other group are your constituents. They are not into you. They are into what you are for. They are for what you are for. They are your constituents. And as long as you are for what they are for, they will walk with you and work with you and labor with you, but never think that they are for you. They are for what you are for. And you have to know that, because if they meet somebody else that will further their agenda, they will leave you and hook up with them, because they were never for you. They were just for what you were for. They are your constituents. And throughout your life, if you're not careful, particularly if you're broken, you will mistake your constituents for your confidants. And you will think that they are for you when they are really not for you. They are just for what you are for. And by the time you get to falling in love with them, they will break your heart as they hook up with somebody else who is for what you are for, because it was never about you anyway. It was about the causes that you represent. They are for what you are for, but they are not for you. They are your constituents. Can I go deeper with this? The third group are your comrades. These people are not for you, nor are they for what you are for. It is just that they are against what you are against. And the comrades will make strange bedfellows. This will cause people to come together who are not for you, and they are not for what you are for, but they are against what you are against. And they will team up with you to help fight a greater enemy. But don't be confused by their associations. They will only be with you until the victory is accomplished. These people are like scaffolding. They come into your life to fulfill a purpose. And when the purpose is complete, the scaffolding is removed. But don't be upset when they are removed, because the building always remains when the scaffolding is removed. What I'm saying to you, my brothers and sisters, expect the constituents and the comrades to leave you and desert you after a while. Don't be upset when they don't react to your dream the way you expected them to, because they were never really with you in the first place. Be careful then who you tell your dream to, because if you tell your dream to your constituents, they will desert you and try to fulfill the dream without you. If you tell it to your comrades, they won't support it, because they never were for what you were for anyway. If you find a few people in your entire life with whom you can share your dream working with. You are a blessed somebody. I can tell you how to identify people who are really for you. If they are really for you, they will weep with you when you weep, and they will rejoice when you rejoice. When you walk in a room and you tell somebody good news, stop being happy for a minute and watch their reaction. If they're not happy for you, shut your mouth and walk back out of the door. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying to you. Oh, yeah, because when they are really connected to you, they will be happy for you when you share your dream. Find somebody, look them in the eye and say, are you happy for me? If you don't get the right reaction, don't tell them anything else. You need somebody who's really going to be happy for you. I don't want just anybody praying for me. I don't want none of them haters praying for me, because you know you hate me and you don't want me to succeed. I want somebody praying for me who really wants me to be blessed, who wants me to be an overcomer, so you can put up your oil and stop speaking in tongues, because you know you never did speak to me anyway, and ain't no need in you coming up here in this hospital like you gonna pray some cancer up off of me. I'd rather have somebody who really loves me lay across the bed and rebuke the devil. And God is so faithful, he'll always give you somebody.
You get up one morning, your elders have something, you don't know how they get it, but you want to use it. But if you ask them old people to get the things what they went through, ask them this any day, and your parents sure to say, black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're able to get a pulley and jam with the devil. Why? Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're ready to swim offshore and hold your boat steady. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With that dragon eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. You get up one morning, and oil money running. How it come you don't know, so that it care how the thing go. But if they read about Uriah, they wanna find out the pressure. How we get so much old hell to get a penny from TLL. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With that eagle eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. Say we get up one morning, independence happening, getting the thing come easy. Now they're taking liberty, but if they know about petition, we have to send to England for some woman to tell we in this colony free. Black man have to keep on jabbing, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. People hold you, humiliate you, turn on and sell you, and then they free you. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With that dragon eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. So when a black man gets something, he got to start thinking. To get it there easy, he got to practice economy. From getting licks from the slave master to become the land owner, brother, is a terrible journey. Back with plenty brutality. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something, you got to rise up, you got to stand up. Make up your mind, you will always stay on top. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something, you got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something, you got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something, make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man.
Keep me as the apple of thine eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wing. O Lord, my Savior. It's so hard to deal with personal struggle. So sad when you feel alone in your trouble. It's real hard when you want to talk to a brother. It's so bad because of how some look at you after. So Jesus, come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be. Cover my head. Satan want me dead. Cover my back from human attack. So Jesus, come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be. People see you smile, but don't know the hurt that you're feeling. Even as God's child, at times your heart does be bleeding. Where can you go when you're really looking for healing? Who know how to flow when your soul needs some restoring? So Jesus, come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be. Cover me home from evils unknown. Cover my feet so I'll never retreat. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my brother, cover my sister, them who under pressure. Cover, 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 cover the preacher, every church worker, the young believer. Cover, 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 the worship leader and intercessor, every gospel minister. Cover, cover, cover. Jesus alone is the one who has the real answer. The one on the throne is the true and loving Father. He will hold your hand and keep you from going under. He will make you stand and let you know he's a fixer. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me mind. You know the struggle sometimes. Cover me mouth, that the wrong thing wouldn't come out. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover the Christian in the midst of aggression with the power of your right hand. Jesus, cover, cover, cover them helpless children. Jesus, defend them. Send help from heaven. Jesus, cover, cover, cover all them radio stations that blessing the nation. Grant divine protection. Jesus, cover, 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 cover me.
words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.
Yes. Let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's no other than in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And you know, we stay here, ladies and gentlemen. We originate. We don't imitate. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Doesn't matter what color t-shirt you wear. You have a mauve t-shirt, a pink t-shirt, a salmon t-shirt. Yes, salmon t-shirt. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And also, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what planet you're from Mazatanians, Venuranians, Sonaranians. Yes, each and every one is welcome in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, you know, this is part of our start right here.
It have our place, WZYE, where they treat you like friends and family. So if you're looking for a place to belong, going WZYE, you could come along. If you have haste, come with me. We have DAT on WZYE, Santa Medite.
Of course, that's a limerick from one of our listeners here in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. No other than Dr. Love himself, Rennie Muhammad. Let me say a special welcome to no other than the commissioner in Newark, the one and only, the man that went to Palaseco Government Secondary School, coming out of Marabella, by way of Salibe, some people say Solibia, on his way to Marabella, leaving Palaseco coming back to Marabella. And on weekends, journeying back to Salibe to journey back to Marabella again on Sunday. No other than the commissioner in Newark, Thomas E. Marshall Nisbet boy. Tommy, welcome.
Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Today is a splendid Thursday.
Well, it's nice to see you, and I'm happy to be here as usual. That's
I had
what
a
I.
busy day today, Tommy, but I start since I had about 5 different running clients today. I start since 9 o'clock this morning. No,
What you
8:30 actually. It started at 8:30.
what you doing? Consultancy and running?
No. I train kids.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah. I run a development academy where I train kids. One of
oh,
the
okay.
kids,
All
one of the
right.
kids that I train is one of the top runners here as a freshman in New Jersey.
All right.
Yeah. And then I have another kid. He's going to the Junior Olympics, and he's one of the top 10 in the country.
Hmm. So
So
you may be a gold medal maker.
yeah. I do that quite a bit. I
All
do
right.
that quite often. But something that I enjoy. They say
And
when
you
you're
enjoy?
enjoying things you do, it don't seem like a job.
No, it doesn't.
So I enjoy that very much. I go out there. I inspire the kids for a better tomorrow. And I have this new young lady. She's about 8 or 9. She running track for the first time.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
That's pretty young.
Yeah, they start kind of young. But when they start that young, you don't really give them much. You just give them enough in order to keep them motivated, because running is a difficult sport. So I just keep them motivated. Do some fun things, jump over a little bit of hurdles. You know, work on a running form, and yeah, little things to keep them motivated. But it's enjoyable. And the good thing, Tommy, is that I have a lot of repeat customers. That's the most important thing.
Yep. That means you're doing something right.
Yeah, and other people tell other people.
That's good. That's the best kind of advertisement.
But Tony, the funny thing, none of my kids don't never like running.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
my son,
interesting.
my son was an excellent football player. He hated running, but he had to run though. He didn't have a choice. He just didn't have a choice. I used to take him to the track and make him run. I used to make him do hills. He
Well,
says, he
that,
says, Dad, you want me to be a runner? So I don't want you to be a runner. I want you to be fit when you go out in the field.
would you believe that fact that you sort of shove it down his throat probably turned him off?
No, I never shove it down his throat. It's like I knew that. So for example, I have had kids who played both football, well, soccer. People call it soccer, soccer and track. And what I normally will do is that I will go to a football game and see the kids play, because I already know them in track. And I will basically tell the parents, you know what? I think your kid should play soccer. You have a great chance of getting a scholarship, because soccer scholarship is much more difficult than a track and field scholarship.
Oh
And
yeah.
to get a full scholarship in soccer, you had to be very good. You had to be very, very good. So I realized that my son, he didn't like running, but he was very good in soccer. Very, very good. My daughter,
He still
she
plays.
started to, eh?
He still plays.
Off and on. Yeah, he still plays off and on. He went to school on a soccer scholarship.
Right.
Yeah, he plays off and on. Well, my daughter, she was very good at running her mouth. You know, I
Hmm.
the only kind of running she did.
Hmm.
But she played hockey, and I tell you, one time she decided she wanted to run track. She went out for the track team. I go to the meets and thing, but she wasn't really enthusiastic. It wasn't really into it. So she decided whatever she wanted to do, and I just said fine. You know, but and then So I have kids that I train, and they play football and they run track as well. And so far, Tommy, most of the kids that I trained that played both sports end up running track because, I told their parents, I said, listen, not because track is my thing, but they were way better in running than in track.
Right, right.
And they
Well,
had better opportunities available to them in track than they will have in soccer.
yeah,
So
but
in soccer, you had to be good, man.
when mine were young, but then again, they seemed to like what I was into anyway, so
Mhm.
it just fell right into the music. And
Yeah.
my daughter Carla, she did biology. Her double major was biology and music. My son was music and music technology, so he's a full-time musician. As a matter of fact, I was in the studio with him up until 3 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I was helping him. We were collaborating a piece of work for one of his artists. Came out really nice.
Oh, wow. That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. So, and this time is kind of a busy time because a lot of people want their kids to get in shape for what's called cross country, for the upcoming school season. So they're getting
Right.
them ready, and um, some of the kids, I consider what I do like Princeton Review and Kaplan. People go for SAT to enhance the SAT. They go to Princeton Review and Kaplan. I consider running development academy to be like that for running, for track and field. When you want to improve, you come to me. And so far I'm batting 99.9%. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent.
I,
I know it's a good
I,
feeling.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a feel. You see, Tommy, that's why I talk about recreations. I call it double AS, academics and athletics. No, for example,
I feel
right?
a way about arts too. I feel arts really help academics.
Yeah, yeah, you could put many things together, man. It doesn't have to be athletics. It's not everybody into athletics. You know what I mean? Some people are very academically inclined with many other different things that they can do. And, they could get academic scholarships,
Yep.
because the big thing, Tommy, is that in Trinidad and Tobago, we don't really look at boarding schools, for example. Boarding schools is a way that many academically inclined kids in Trinidad and Tobago can get scholarships. I mean, go to school for free.
That's right.
I mean, what I mean, free, everything free. You're on campus, all your books free. You have to pay no fee like all the other pay in Trinidad. You know, everything is free.
Yeah, but Anselm, even though my three children got full scholarships, I still had to come out of a bit of money, and they still had to come out money.
Well, of course you gotta come out money for other things that they have to do, on the campus. They might want to join certain clubs. They might have cost you $100 or $75 for the year. You know, I mean, you still have to come out your pocket maybe a thousand or maybe $1,000 to $2,000.
Not one off. You had to come off often because certain things aren't covered.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I've been, I gotta say, we have been fortunate that our kids were
They get everything
you
covered.
no, 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 not well. My son went to a boarding school,
Right, right, right.
but no, everything wasn't covered. Tommy, you know what a boarding school was about? My son graduated a few years ago. You know what a boarding school was then, back then? $33,000
A year.
US a year. Imagine that.
Hey,
Lawrenceville Prep, which is in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, one of the top preps, one of the top boarding schools in the
and that's
country.
and that's primary school,
Yes, just high school.
high school. Yeah.
High school.
Mhm.
Lawrenceville Prep is about, I think now it might be about $50,000, high school.
Yep.
And dignitaries send their kids from all parts of the world to Lawrenceville Prep. Imagine that high school.
Mhm.
I figure, Tommy, if I paying $50,000 in high school, my kid had to end up at Yale, Stanford, Princeton, University of Pennsylvania, Brown University, or one of them top-notch schools.
Mm-hmm.
If I paying that much, that's my feeling.
No.
Do we have any boarding schools in Trinidad and Tobago?
Not that I know of.
So that's a question for people.
Maybe someone in the chat can tell us.
Yeah. Do you guys know if there's any boarding schools in Trinidad and Tobago? You know, and Tommy, listen to this, right? I had made a suggestion to Daryl Smith, who was the minister of sport. I said, Minister, you know what you need to put? You need to put a sports scholarship department within the Ministry of Sports. And their goal or goals, right, are to try to get scholarship for some of the best athletes in Trinidad and Tobago. Doesn't matter what sport it is.
What was
Swimming,
his response? What I want to know what he responded. What was his response to it?
What was the response?
Yes. I'm listening for the response.
I didn't hear you.
Okay, I know why.
Tommy, I gave them Sports Development Academy. I show that presentation here. You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, that presentation. Let me see. Look at here. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sitting here waiting on Sports Development Academy.
SDA.
SDA, you see? An intensive PowerPoint presentation. What is Sports Development Academy? More about Sports Development Academy.
So your PowerPoint was powerless.
Yeah, Paul. I think there was a put in the disposable files.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean it was there for them on a platter.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
but
so I see you finally get to talk to the Minister of Local Government, huh?
Tommy, I want to play that, eh? And somebody just answer me here. It was somebody answered, right? Hold on, because I just put it up. Let me see what this person answered. No, the answer man evade what? Both questions were properly answered.
Yeah. So you telling me that the answer to well, let me recap the first question. The first question was if the local government reform was already approved, so to speak, and he answered yes, it was. But he said it's like buying a computer. You buy it. wasn't a crappy analogy and reference that was just like going around the mulberry bush.
He run around the Balize house. That's what he did.
I don't know who's listening to that thinks, because Google somehow seemed to give him a thumbs up, saying that it was everything was addressed. But I don't know. I really don't know. I guess some of our minds are we dumb. They're bright. You know, everything is clear now.
But Tommy, when he went to the second question regarding the parlor tax.
Oh Lord. Nobody thought that the fact that he says it's mixed use and that the residential portion is addressed, but the commercial portion is unaddressed, and it's yet to be sorted out after. Now, that is very dangerous. Why, but then again, why do the residential first and not the commercial first? that's sort of backwards because the commercial is generating income. The residential is you just presuming what can be achieved for rental when nobody's renting their residence. They reside there. Something doesn't
Tommy,
make sense.
Tommy, I was shocked and amazed with them two. Every time I listen to that thing, I just laugh. Laugh. Because what he's telling you, anyway, let me go to the chat first. We go deal with that after the top of the hour because I want to play the video too. And I want to go through that video because, you know, Trinidadians, boy, we have to stop allowing politicians to take us for fools.
No, but it look as though nobody think objectively. They just lap up everything that's being told to them without even thinking about what's being said.
And Tommy, I don't understand. Why is that? I mean, two straightforward questions, you know. And I didn't want to go through no long. I just put it very straightforward. The man talked about a computer and he had to turn on the computer. We didn't turn on the computer. So the legislation, we didn't turn it on yet. Yeah, we had a computer, right? But only certain parts, right? So, and I said to myself, I said, Lord Father, please put a hand.
And everybody good with that?
They're good with that? Well, I don't know if it's everybody. I guess most of the PNM people, I think. You know something, Tony?
You saw the host body language?
Yeah. I saw the body language. You know what I mean? But Tommy, you want to hear this? He cut up the interview that he had with Pastor Google, but he didn't put in that part, you know. He leave out that part. You understand? Why? Them fellas then. Keisha was first in the village tonight.
Yep. Good night, Kish.
The Ansem, good night. Yeah, plenty emojis tonight. Diana the Storm, good night.
Where are you, Diana?
Yeah, Tommy. Diana says she's joining us late. Tommy, good night.
Good night, Takesha.
Takesha sent out to Nadia, Rose, Lana, Carice, Julie, Erica, John, Victoria. I want to call somebody in Tobago tonight. Because, Tommy, I don't understand something. Tommy, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
If I am driving over the speed limit on the Jersey Turnpike, and the state trooper stop me, but don't give me a ticket, just tell me, watch
give you a warning.
Right, I give you a warning and go your way rejoicing and right? You broke the law, right?
Right.
He ain't give you no ticket. He just gave you a warning. So let's say Fali break the law in the Tobago House of Assembly. Who allowed them to break the law? The presiding officer. Right?
Right.
He can't just come and break the law just so. Somebody had to allow him or stop him.
No, but even getting back to the breaking of the law stories.
Yeah.
First to begin, did he know that the person that he was talking to was a state witness or something of sorts?
No, he didn't know.
And secondly, since the charges are being brought against Fali, quote unquote, was he indicted?
No.
So what's the relevance of all?
Well, I mean, they had to make a mountain out of a molehill, you know what I mean?
Because first to begin, the day before, I don't know Mr. Abdullah. I never hear the name. I never see Akil Abdullah. I don't know who that is or whatever that is. And then the day after, he's a state witness or some witness in some police matter or court matter or whatever it is. Come on, man. So nobody can figure out that is a lot of untruths being told. I don't know.
I don't know either. I really don't know. I don't know either.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Takesha says Albert Vonnie, Hailey, Ulrich, Eric, Ellis, Ken, Capiza, Richard Rennie. Takesha says only love in the village, no room for hate or negativity, just love. Nadia, good night. Good night to you, Nadia. Nadia says good night, Ansem. Good night, everyone.
good
Tommy,
night,
good night.
good night, Nadia. Nadia,
Yeah.
you're a little bit slow on the draw today too, my girl, because I mean, usually you first in the village. We used to you being first in the village, but you can yield to Keisha. She's also a good village sweetheart.
Yeah, Diana Benskin, good night.
Good night,
Takesha,
Diana Peskin.
yeah, Takesha, Judy, Lana, Rose, Miss Coover, Rennie, good night, Albert, Ken, Hailey, Ellis. Dr. Love, good evening, early birds. Welcome.
Good evening, Rennie.
Curtis Montreshardy inside, welcome.
Welcome, Kurt.
Uh, Capiza, boy. Capiza, you're inside. Greatest Rowley, Capiza says.
Captain
Victoria,
Dan.
Victoria, welcome. Good night, all. Hope all is well. Ansem, you said the only thing your daughter run is her mouth. Well, well, go don't make sheep.
Oh Lord, you look for that one there, boy.
I look for that one. I look for that one. I look for that one and shoot. All right, I go take my punishment. Yeah. Capiza say, Walls, you could send your kids to a PO school. What is that PO school? What's that PO school?
Private. What's the? I'm trying to.
Hey, Capiza, you want me send your Faris email? Walls, you should ask Faris if he's a prof. Is he the Prophet Muhammad's son?
Grandson.
Grandson, yeah.
I think that was said before.
Okay. What's that about?
No, I think it was said. I think he may have said that he's a great grandson of Prophet Muhammad or something. I don't know.
So Victoria is saying that. Let's bring in Diana. Hey, Diana, welcome.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on?
What's going on, Storm? What's going on, Storm?
Yeah, knocking about the place, cook out, cooking, cook under, cook over, party here. I ain't able, huh?
None of it makes you cuckoo.
The what?
As long as it doesn't make you cuckoo.
Nah, I good. So, Anslam, I hear a fella song like you calling on a program in Trinidad. I said, oh, wait now. That fella song just like Anslam, boy.
What was it in Wall Street?
Well, I ain't get the beginning of the thing, but he said he went and he asked his good friend the Google guy, and I'll worry a question.
Oh, you didn't get it?
Oh dear, Anslam boy.
Yeah, I mean,
you should have asked him to come on the program.
Who for Awari?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gave my invite.
You know what? I go send him an invitation.
Yeah. So you know what you do? Invite all of them. Send them all of them an invite to come on the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only hope they show that the inviting the garbage like how they show Sport Development Academy. So
send an email or WhatsApp or something. All of them.
I think
so when thing hit the fan, they can't say they didn't get invite officially.
No, well, all of them already get invite previously.
But send it again. Yeah. Because in these treacherous, in these uncertain times, let me don't say treacherous. In these uncertain times that will be approaching ahead, they need to come into the village. That's all I'm going to say to them. We have some uncertain times ahead of the PNM in Trinidad and Tobago.
Maybe in Tobago, but I think in Trinidad, them people.
No. In Trinidad, there are some uncertain times. Tommy, I respect your knowledge and your opinion, and you're older than me, so you know more than me. But this time,
you had to tell everybody that old man.
This time, well, everybody know you. You look like TD Jakes. This time, elected this time. And when it happened, all I remember, the storm says so,
All right, Storm. All right, Storm.
Yeah, I think, yep.
So Victoria says, good night. The government did tell the population that residential is going to be addressed first. Whether it was unacceptable, they did say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Not me answer. Nadia said that. Now, Victoria says, no one objected. Maybe it suited some. But let me just let me say this. Victoria says, yes, he knew because he said so. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Even Watson tried to help him, and he told him to shut his stinking mouth. I'm
Who's
tired
that?
of this ego issue. Call for Joy Charles. Yeah, that was when
Wait,
she was.
wait, back up. Who tried to help who?
No, that was Victoria is saying, yes, he knew because he said so. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Who knew because he said so? Fali?
Fali knew he was being indicted?
No, I think Victoria clarified that first.
So
yes.
who they indicting Farley now?
No, I think because he knew he was breaking the standing orders. I think that's what she might be saying. Because
he didn't break his standing order.
I mean, if the only person, if the residing officer allow you to say something, if the residing officer, if the speaker of the house allows you to say something, and it's illegal, whose fault is that?
The presiding officer.
Is that Fali's fault? That's not Fali's fault.
But is what Fali did or say illegal? Not knowing that he was indicted. Was he indicted?
Well, I think, Tommy, we could call Denise Angus Sawyerfat is saying she used to be the presiding officer previously under, I think, is Kelvin Charles, I think, or maybe she was a previously a presiding officer, and she says what Fali did was incorrect. But I'm saying if what Fali did is incorrect, the presiding officer allowed him to do it. If the police officer allow you to break the law, whose fault is that?
But was it really the law being broken?
No, but let's say the law was broken. If the police officer allow you to break the law, whose fault is that?
The police officer.
Okay.
He's not allowing you to break the law. You breaking the law and he didn't correct you.
Right, yeah, but he didn't.
Or maybe he's ignorant of the fact himself too. You don't know.
But what was being said earlier, Storm, is that sometimes you get stopped by the cop for speeding, and instead of him giving you a ticket, he give you a warning.
You know, but sometimes they look at your track record too, and perhaps your excuse you're giving is might be legitimate or not. On top of the answer, I will tell you experience I had with that.
Identification. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets at WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. It's Diana, Ansem, Tommy, and you in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Help, come and put a hand, come and wipe away the blight and see what the plight that befall the man of this land. What's going on here? I would like to know why the whole world is in a turmoil. So it look as if we fire God from the job and give you work to Beelzebub. Man, the devil have a hand in running the land. The devil have a hand in running the land. The people have to never like understand. The devil have a hand in running the land. The devil have a hand in running the land. The devil have a hand in running the land. The people have never like understand. Like if Satan in control of running the land. Hey man, oh man. There's only wars and rumors of wars. Incurable disease go from sea to seas and they happen without a cause. Strange phenomena now happen everywhere. The callousness of this world has the world in fear. Politics and weaponry have taken its toll. They have the whole world out of control. Man, the devil have a hand in running the land. The devil have a hand in running the land. The thing will happen here well I can understand like it. Oh yes man, the devil have a hand in running the land. The devil have a hand in running the land. The thing will come here well I can understand like it. Satan in control of running the land. Oh man.
FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. So Victoria says, yes, Fali knew Abdullah was under question because Fali did say that. I don't recall that. Right? So Victoria says, Fali as chief knew the rules. Of course, the presiding officer have questions to answer. I will say no more about this issue. I am tired of this embarrassing situation. Victoria, you know, Dr. Rowley knew the rules when he went and read Email Gate in Parliament.
You're in my brain. Go ahead.
You know that, right, Victoria? You know he knew the rules, right? Right? So,
and when he intercepted the merit list.
Yeah, you know what? Let me see if I can call Denise. So you're fat Angus right now. Let me see. Hold on, Denise.
You know, are you hearing him, Tommy? He's going away from the mic.
I'm moving. Yeah, he moved his mouth from
hold on, Denise. I wanted to bring her in the NIS.
When he admitted he intercepted, did he admit he intercepted the list, Tommy, or no?
Who, PM?
Uh-huh.
He did at one point, did he not?
You know, that's what I'm saying.
Hello, Miss Sawyer Fat Angus. You're live on WZYE 95.9 FM. Can you give us 5 minutes of your time?
Call drop.
Reconnect.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
Denise Sawyer Fat Angus. You are live on WZYE 95.9 FM. You are live on...
I am sorry. All right, go ahead.
We have one or two quick
questions. I teach a master class between,
We have some quick questions.
Go ahead. So, I will just let me ask my partner to fill in for me until I can get back on. All right?
Yeah. So folks, we have Miss Denise.
Okay, I just sent them a message.
Okay. So Denise, we just want to clarify something. First thing, did Chief Fali know that Abdullah was under question with respect to the police situation?
He was state witness.
State witness?
Well, Abdullah actually said something like that in his interview, that he was meeting with the police regularly and giving them information. He actually said it in the interview.
But did Chief Fali know that previously?
But if Fali did the interview, he must have heard it.
But if he heard it, that means I knew it before.
No, if he heard it, then he should have posted him off back to the police.
So the statement that Abdullah was under question because Fali knew that Abdullah was under question by the police. He didn't know that before the interview, though.
I cannot say whether he knew before the interview. All we know is that when we saw the interview, Mr. Abdullah answered, responded to those questions, stating that he was meeting with the police while being questioned by the chief secretary.
Okay, fine, fine. Now here's the next question, right? You were previously a presiding officer under which THA chief?
I was the presiding officer between 2017 to 2019 when Kelvin Charles was the chief secretary.
Okay. Now, Denise, if as the presiding officer, you allow something to happen in the THA assembly, is that the person who is doing it, or is that the presiding officer allowing the person to do, whether it's illegal or not? Isn't the presiding officer the person who takes control of the assembly and will say what is acceptable and what is not acceptable?
Absolutely. And as I have said in all of my interviews, the presiding the officer allowed a breach of the standing order 45.8 when she allowed a statement to deal with the conduct of the prime minister and the TTPS rather than having a debate as outlined in the standing orders.
But Denise, is that the chief fault that that, for example, if I'm going down the road speeding, right, and the speed limit is 55 miles per hour, right, and the police allow me to go 55 miles per hour, they saw me, they just said, you know what, let him go. I broke the law. They saw me, or they could stop me, and they say, you know what, they give me a little tap on my shoulder and tell me keep going. Is that my fault now, or is it that the police officer allow me to break the law?
Did the police officer allow you to break the law, or you broke the law and he didn't stop you?
No, well, he break the law. He didn't give me a ticket when he should have given me a ticket. So he allowed me to break the law.
Well, you still broke the law. So one is complicit.
Yeah, but he allowed me to do it when he should have stopped me from doing it.
So there's collusion.
No, Miss,
Go ahead. So we have Tommy and Diana with us. Go ahead, Tommy.
Good evening, Miss Soifa. Quick question.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Great. What I wanted to ask you was, Mr. Fali Augustine ever notified that he was being indicted for anything at all?
I haven't heard anything as such. I know there's an ongoing investigation, but I haven't heard anything of an indictment.
Okay, because
I don't think that they have gotten that far in their investigative process.
Right, because what I was thinking is that if he was indicted, then truly he would have been order trying to interview a witness who was a witness against himself.
Well, he's under investigation, and really, you're not supposed to bring items into the assembly chamber where it's under investigation and it can prejudice a case in any way.
But a case would be made if there was proof that he was doing something wrong and he was indicted. But if they are just simply investigating,
there is an investigation ongoing. But you see, I am not a policeman and I'm not a lawyer. So those experts, I could only tell you about the standing orders and in the house. And therefore, those experts will have to determine whether he has broken the law with regard to them considering that there is some measure of obstruction that took place with his interaction with Mr. The gentleman. Okay,
but in the first instance, wasn't it the information that the gentleman came to him instead of him going to the gentleman?
And what's the difference?
He might have been innocent of the fact that the gentleman is being used as a witness against him,
Okay. Well, I really don't know, but I mean, if I were in his shoes, I would have really had a very long stick for that. Um, and, you know, it is concerning that he admitted to taping the gentleman without him knowing it. And then you put him on a public forum without a written consent into the chamber. And so the chamber can now be sued by the gentleman in the
Agreed.
interview.
Agreed. If he didn't give consent, he
Yeah, no, it's not just consent. You need written consent.
true.
Now, Denise, what about privileges and privileges and immunities, section 71, 2, and 3? Subject to the rules and standing orders of the assembly, there shall be freedom of speech in the chamber of the assembly. That's one. Two, no civil or criminal proceedings may be instituted against any member or any other person for words spoken before or written in a report of the assembly or committee thereof. And three, in other respects, the powers, privileges, and immunities of the assembly, members, and committees of the assembly shall be such as may from time to time be prescribed by parliament, and until so defined, shall be those that apply to the House of Representatives and to its members and committees. What about that section?
Well, it's interesting you should bring up that section because I just did a full research on that today.
Mhm.
And according to the Westminster system, which we follow, there is no unlimited parliamentary immunity for anyone. And you cannot enjoy parliamentary immunity from criminal prosecution.
But this doesn't say that,
Okay?
though. This doesn't
So
say that. It says no
what does
civil
it
or
say? What?
criminal proceedings may be instituted against any member.
Or other
No, no,
person.
there is a difference, you know, and I brought reference to this.
Okay.
If I come into the parliament and I state, well, you know, last night I just killed a man and I hid the knife underneath a stone somewhere, but I just couldn't deal with it no more and I just got rid of him. Do I have immunity?
Well,
There is an
well,
extent to the immunity.
Denise, but
Yeah.
Denise, I think why do we stick to what happened rather than making an example of what didn't happen, right? So there was
No,
no
but you
criminal proceeding here
you
in this
have to put
situation.
in people's minds
Yeah,
that there are limits. Yeah, there
yeah.
are limits to the parliamentary privilege,
Yeah,
and
but
it's just
this is a
unfettered
game.
limits. Yeah, and wherever the parliament or the assembly is silent, we go to the next level, which is the Westminster system, and also look at it with other parliaments across the world. And it's
But
clear there's no limitless parliamentary privilege offered to members, especially where criminal allegations may be present.
but
And therefore, the seriousness of this situation is not just about whether videos were introduced, but whether in the videos it has pointed to a criminal act of obstruction of justice, given that there was an ongoing investigation. So, like I said before, I believe the police have to do their work. This is out there, and I don't believe that it is just one side. I believe all allegations laid should be investigated.
and
All.
Denise, and I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Fully.
They should take Ansel Dennis' phone, take the Prime Minister phone, take Ola Christopher phone, take like how they say with Petrotrain, all, take all of them phones. And if there's nothing to hide, listen, wherever the chips fall, let the chips fall where they may. If they want to do something regarding the audio recording, that's up to them. Whatever the investigation, fine, it's fine. But now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, you can't put it back in. You know, it is now time for the police, not the police though, an independent investigation into what was laid in the Tobago House of Assembly. Do you agree with that or not?
Correct. And you can begin with the Integrity Commission, which was not named in the whole of this the number that was outlined. You can begin there. Yeah. But
Agree.
all allegations, in order to put this to rest in the minds of the people, all allegations should be investigated to some level. And also, we have to look at it, as this is a very serious matter, as a former presiding officer, I feel very disheartened by the way the house was misused and abused inside of all of this. A statement should never have been made. It should have been a motion, if anything.
Miss Sawyer, how are you doing? This is Miss Benskin. I just sit on the
Hi,
fence.
Miss
How are you doing?
Baskin.
I sit on the fence and I just listen to everybody and hear all they have to say. This is my belief. There is this orchestrated plan to try to destroy, demonize Mr. Farley. And in doing so, who is going to suffer? The Tobagonian populace, right? And if you want to investigate stuff, what happened to the zip line money? Wait, why don't they investigate that? I see this here as a distraction from the main
Yeah,
course.
Miss Benskin, I think it's in the purview of the chief secretary and his executive to pursue the investigation of the zip line, which he said he is currently doing. Yes?
So
So
investigate
they
all.
are doing that.
Since you want to investigate,
He said
investigate
that.
all
He
allegations of
said that.
misuse of funds and stuff. But
Correct.
the targeting of Mr. Farley. This is what is wrong with
However,
my people. My people, we can't
this
come together. We can't go forward because every time one of us raises our heads to try to lead us to
you
the light,
can't.
we tend to want to attack that individual. That's all I have to say. I'm not coming after you,
So
ma'am. I'm just
I
stating my,
think
you
I
know.
think there are two different conversations we're having. Yes? And if they're attacking, them in terms of how they're running the assembly, sure, fine. We could have some agreement there. However, nobody can attack you and force you into a situation where it is alleged that you have done a couple of criminal acts. Yeah? And the
Anyway,
Corruption
my
Act is
people.
very serious in terms of what is put forward. And I say that the police have to let them continue the investigation, right? If they were allowed to just do their investigation without going back into the house and further, situations where there may be further allegations as to, conduct in terms of obstruction of justice, we wouldn't have that. Yeah.
But Denise,
So,
I think the police.
mhm,
I think the police at this point in time are tainted, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can do
no, I
an independent investigation at this point in this country. In this country, Denise, in the U.S., right? We have had in situations in
right,
state where the prosecutor had to step aside and they bring in an independent person in order to do the
right.
investigation
But
because the
we have
prosecutor was
to
tainted.
allow it to get to that point. Yes, there is a process through everything. We have to allow everything to take its course, and
But I
I'm
think we're
sure
already at that point,
everything
though.
will prove itself, you know,
But
at some level.
you don't think we're at that point now because the same names that were called are the ones who are doing the investigation. And in addition to that, there was this quick survey that was done. And the question was, do we believe the TTPS searches of the homes of the TSO officials are politically motivated by the
Thank
PNP?
you.
65% says yes, and 35% says no. This was just a poll. Right?
Okay.
They interviewed 350 online respondents. 65% yes says yes, and 35% says no. So what it is that in the public space in Tobago, right, just these 355 people. All right, I think.
I should
Perception.
go.
You said
Yeah. Okay.
already been activated, and And we, there is a process, and you have to allow the process at this point.
So
Yeah.
Denise, I want to thank you so much for taking our call. I appreciate it.
Yes, because I was just about to say that we are beyond the 5 minutes and they're beginning to summon me on.
But Denise, thank you so very kindly. We
Thank you so
appreciate
very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
You're
Okay, take
welcome.
care.
It's good to hear you all again.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Take care.
Okay, blessings.
So folks,
Anselm, you know what is like a sorry mind. You know what is baffling me and have me I mean, the people the outs the PNM by whatever. I for 13-1 or 14-1. Correct me.
14-1.
They've spoken resoundingly. You don't want that. The people ain't doing too well on the PNM, and a whole lot of things are emerging now. Right? My thing is, right? Why are we not concerned about your people that getting the water from the canal? Why are we not concerned about the Paria report? Why are we not concerned about the SABGA report, a resolution to that? Why are we not concerned about, these people that gone missing? And why are we putting investigation in place to find out these people that gone missing? How come all of a sudden, the THA is forefront? We got to investigate the THA. Huh? You have people missing. Nobody paying no investigation. I ain't about no if there is, I haven't heard. No investigation. I don't know. What is the resolution to the Paria? The widows of the Paria, the children. These are more important issues. The road, the infrastructure, the road. Where the money gone for the zip line? Funds, where the money gone?
9 days past already, brother.
And this is petty nonsense.
I'm calling out Church Charles.
Petty nonsense. To distract the voter.
Of course.
All right, let me call Martin George.
Think people roof blowing off in storms. Huh? They come and they give out 91 or 100 houses the other day. I wonder how long the people had to wait for them houses. And look what they're doing it 2 weeks before local election. Who they really bamboozling, Anselm? Who they really think they're bamboozling?
Hey, it works.
Huh?
It works, Diana.
Who they trying to bamboozle?
Plan works.
People missing. Anybody investigating all this? Is there any ongoing investigation? Were these people gone? Human trafficking, all kinds of stuff going on.
We like it so.
We're free.
We're free.
The children have to go to school. They're talking book lists have to be filled. All these things. I mean, come on, man. The pastures where you can put football fields covered in grass. Let me retry. Covered in weed. Huh? But you go on and you allow them to grow how many plants at home? How many plants they're allowed to grow at home? But yet there's a booming CBD industry in the world. Are you allowing poor people to latch on to the CBD industry and create some sort of economy? And look in Trinidad, but they're just thinking of oppressing and suppressing people, and think now you're gonna bamboozle people over and over. The young people don't want that. They don't want to hear that.
So
They're targeting Mr. Farley because he is their savior. The people see him as a savior. And I see him as a future prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't care who come after me for that. People see him. I'm tired of all you, man. Tired of all in Trinidad. They get on my nerves, And now they're going after Mr. Farley. You're for real? And this is why we black people cannot get where we're supposed to. We cannot get there.
Diana, you are right, but please keep keep your pressure under control.
No, I'm good. I'm good. My pressure is never thing. I'm just passionate. I keep telling you guys, I'm passionate. I want to see Trinidad and Tobago better. I want that crime statistic gone. I want the women to feel safe on the street. I want to feel safe when I go there, that I don't have to walk with a box cutter in my bosom. Right? I want to be able to sit and open my back door wherever I'm lying and feel like nobody will rush upon me. I mean, come on, man. These are issues. I don't want to hear all this petty nonsense.
So I want to shift a little bit before Dr. Bishnu came in. I want you guys to listen to this discussion with Faris Alwari on Friday. Was it yesterday?
Yep.
Yesterday. Listen to this discussion. This was actually me here calling in to Pastor Google.
Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, Pastor Google, a pleasant good afternoon to you, and a pleasant good afternoon to the Minister of Local Government, Mr. Faris Alwari. My name is Professor Anselm Libon, better known as Wall Street. Mr. Minister, I have two simple questions. Question number one, regarding local government election. Local government reform has already been passed in the Parliament. How could the August 14th local government election be based on local government reform when that law has already been passed in the Parliament? After the election, it doesn't make any difference whether you go to vote or whether you don't go to vote. It has absolutely nothing to do with local government reform because the bill has already been passed in Parliament. Secondly, if I have a property and I have a parlor on the downstairs of my property, is that property going to be charged based on annual rental value, or is that property going to be charged as a commercial property? Thank you very kindly, and have a splendid first rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Yes, good to hear from you, Sue. So, number one, the caller said with certainty that the law has been passed in the Parliament. That carries with it an assumption that it is operative law.
Okay. So
instead of saying yes, the law has been passed.
Oh God, the fella gone already. He don't start to run around the Balize house already. It's an operative law now, right? It passed.
It passed, but it can't operate.
Yeah, it's not operating yet. So let me listen to him. Let me continue listening to him. Let me continue.
When you vote, they're going to make it operative.
Yeah. When you vote August 14th, you're going to make it operative.
So just to correct now, it has been passed. It is an act.
It is an act. Oh, scene one.
Yeah, and Pastor Google saying on the shaking head.
Yeah, because
the man says operative, but it's been passed, right? Oh, Father, please put a hand. Please put a hand.
It's passed, but it's inoperative.
Yeah, it's inoperative. That passed, it's inoperative. So when all you vote on August 14th,
we go operate after that.
Yeah, we go put it operative. Operated after that.
Or you need to vote for it to operate.
Yeah, I don't need to vote for it. All you need to vote for it in order for it to be operative. If all you don't vote for it...
No, not you only need to vote for the Balize for it to operate.
Oh, all right. You need to vote for them for it to be operative. Because if you don't vote for them, we go back and not put it in operation.
Right. There's going to be a reason for it not to be operative. But when you vote for the Balize, it becomes... then you make it... You give
go put it in operation. All right. Okay. All right. So let me continue to listen.
It is not operational because there's a proclamation clause. The proclamation clause is the tool to turn on the act.
Yeah.
Stop it. So when you vote for the Balize, you vote for the proclamation clause, which is the tool to turn on the act.
Yeah. When all you vote August 14th,
there's going to be something on the ballot that says
all you vote for the proclamation clause to turn on the act.
Something on the ballot is going to say proclamation clause.
Yeah. They have a special a part in the ballot.
So it's going to say to proclaim or not to proclaim.
Yeah. And you go put your finger on that spot. And once them win, we go turn it on.
Once you say yes, proclaim, it's going to be proclaimed.
Yeah, it's going to be proclaimed. Don't worry about this.
Continue.
let me continue.
So we bought a computer.
But listen now, we gone all the way to buying a computer now. Forget about the law, you know. We buy. Hear the analogy now. We buy a computer.
That's the act. We have the computer in front of us. That's the act. You had to turn it.
So you know, because
Oh, Jesus, Lord, Father, God, rest our hand on these Trinidadians.
yeah,
man. Everybody's so bright.
Faris, oh God, Faris, and I'm thinking everybody that dotage, boy.
Exactly.
Them really think people that dotage, boy. The man going with the analogy of a computer, and you had to turn it on.
The answer to the question is yes or no.
It's simple. It's a simple question.
They think he's a god, you know. Women love him, you know. So you know, wherever he say goes.
All right, let me continue because we had to get.
So we gotta put on some tall boots to wallow in that.
Let me continue.
No. What we turned on was the term of 3 years moving to 4 years.
What the hell that have to do with?
What the hell does that have to do with local government reform? All they didn't turn that on. The Privy Council have all they do that. Is the Privy Council make all you call that local government election? Listener, you go hear him talk about they was gonna call it in December. Listen to him. Them fellas and them boy, Trinidadians, I sorry for you. This RPNM, I sorry for you.
No, but
so that we could have kept the existing councillors for 1 more year, so that we could turn on the whole computer.
We need more go bar.
Oh God, please, Father, please.
More go bar.
You know, we only turn on the computer have 25 megabytes. We only turn on 5 megabytes. And after the local government election, we go turn on the rest. Megabytes.
Yeah, right.
Right? So all you ain't getting all the megabytes right now because you had to turn on the computer and you had to turn it off. So local election now is based on turning on a computer and turning it off. There we go.
What an analogy.
The Court of Appeal and the High Court in Trinidad said, yeah, that's good. The Privy Council, importantly, split decision, said, but the majority said, look, that's not correct. You could turn it on, yes, they had 4 years now, but the people who came in at 3 years, them had to go as 3 years because they didn't sign on for 4.
Okay.
Right? That's effectively what it said. So what we're doing right now is we're running an election using the old law. Because the rest of the new law in this new computer has not been turned on.
Oh God!
And what do you need to turn it on? And what do you need to turn it on now?
Yes. All right. Okay. I thought Dr. Bishnu was there. He's not there. Let me go back.
That's only a minister.
So what's needed to turn it on now?
No, Tommy. After the election, if the PNM wins more than 7 corporations, we go turn it on.
So if they lose,
no, we mightn't proclaim nothing. We ain't go proclaim because this computer is a local government reform computer. Right? A special computer they have. They could turn it off and turn it on.
It needs some more RAM.
It needs some more RAM. So let me listen. Hold on, let me continue.
And we can't turn it on until after the election because the Privy Council decision.
Oh God!
More go bar.
You can't turn on the computer until after the election. What wrong with all you? All you have to go and vote for us. And after you vote for us, we go turn on the election reform, the local government reform computer. Because we ain't turning that on now. Why?
Made a very important point to say, if you turn on the law, you have to make sure there's a separation between incumbents, people who are currently serving, and new coming people. So there are going to be some adjustments to the law that are going to be needed to meet with that Privy Council decision. So caller.
The Privy Council tell all you have to call the election. What it is? All you went back adjusted to call the election.
So no, but what he's saying is that if I'm interpreting what he's saying correct, he's saying that when we get the new local government officials, we'll be able to go with the reform. Before that, we can't do nothing.
But Tommy, it don't make sense. Once the election is finished, the new thing goes in place.
Yeah, regardless of who.
Regardless of who. It's already sitting there now, and it goes in place once the election is done. Nobody got to do anything else.
And the election doesn't determine that it doesn't happen.
Well, don't vote for PNM and see what will happen then.
All right, let me go. Let me finish this quick.
Number one, the act exists. It is not operational law because it has not been fully proclaimed. Number two, the full proclamation will come after the election because we were told by the Privy Council, you have to have an election effectively because they said, look, that 3-year term expired.
Right.
And if they told you it expired, you had to call an election.
Yes.
We took the 90 days available to us. We called an election. The election was at worst case scenario going to be in December of this year.
Yeah, what you said?
Worst case scenario would have been December this year.
It have been December. So they must go and delay it even more.
Even more.
Even more.
At the end of the day, what he's saying is that after the election, the new law takes effect. So regardless of who wins or who doesn't win,
doesn't matter.
After the election, the new law takes effect.
If the PNM win all 14 corporations, the law takes effect. If the UNC win all 14 corporations, the law takes effect. How could this be based on local government reform? How you got to go and turn on our computer now?
Well, I got to say something to make myself relevant.
Why? Them really think people dotish and shooting now.
Yeah.
Well, look
As that comes on now, the choice for people is the UNC who says no to reform. We don't want it.
It's already in place. What
Let me say the UNC said no to reform and the PNM win the election. Then what? Let me say the UNC said no to reform and the UNC win more corporations. Then what?
They still have to go with what law?
You still have to go with the law. It don't mix.
Anyway, we
no to property tax.
We have it wrong.
No to CEOs being controlled by the council. No to full-time councillors. They say leave it just so.
Yeah.
But if you are a thinking, living, breathing organism in Trinidad and Tobago, you know local government does not work. You don't have the money, the manpower, and the materials. I call it plant and machinery, people, processes, and law. So that's the first part of the caller's question.
That's why they are local
the second part of the caller's question relates to property taxes. In the example offered by Wall Street, you have a residence with a commercial property downstairs. It will therefore be mixed use.
So all your listener, the man say it is mixed use, right? So that means anytime it's mixed use means to say your personal property and a commercial property.
Right.
Right? It mixed use. Mixed can be you can't be half pregnant.
Oh.
Right? Mixed use means to say you have a commercial and you have a
residential.
A residence. Right? Simple. So if you have a parlor downstairs, that's commercial because mixed use.
Right.
Mixed use. Right? Mixed use can be you can't have everything as your property and they come and tell you it's mixed use. No. All right. Let me go on.
Which is residential will be assessed as residential, and that which is commercial will be assessed as commercial.
No, he's absolutely right there.
Yep.
Right? You have mixed use. One is residential, one is commercial. One is 3% of annual rental value. The other one is based on a commercial property. He's accurate. There we go.
That is going to depend upon the valuations division of the Ministry of Finance assessing your property that way. The residential part will be at 3% of the annual rental value. That's $1 a day, $2 a day, $3 a day. The commercial assessment has not yet happened.
So
are they gonna do it retroactively when it goes on? I don't know.
So the computer now only gonna turn on the annual rental value of your property.
No,
right?
It's only gonna work on residential income.
Residential property. And then your commercial property, at some other point in time, we go deal with that.
Well, we did already.
Right. So let me say this. If you have a parlor downstairs and it's a commercial property and you assess my property, right? My residential property, and I still have my parlor 4 years later, what is going to be assessed as?
That's why I asked, is it going to be done retroactively? I don't know.
So what you doing now? What I go do? I go close down my parlor?
No,
Oh, Lord.
no. Actually, what happens is that the businesses will get a little blind while they just take money from the residents.
Yeah, but wait now. Don't they have to pay VAT through the businesses?
Yeah.
And that's separate.
So they get licks all around.
That's separate. So let me finish this.
Right. Because that is nowhere near ready at this point.
And that is what I want.
Right?
I'm glad that you said that.
Good. So those are the facts inside of it.
So you have a parlor downstairs because that part of the law hasn't been fully reacted.
Yes.
Oh Lord, we're going for a break again. When we come back, we take two last calls, and we might up the interview with Mr. Clapton today.
My pleasure.
So
I have a little experience that I'm always happy to share and always happy to learn.
Oh, Lordy, Lordy.
So they're gonna react on the law instead of enacting it, right?
Why?
So what may happen? I don't know. I ain't too smart. What may happen is they may look at the VAT receipts and perhaps pull, make an assessment on the taxes to be paid. That's what they're gonna do?
No.
Or they're doing it on the property itself.
On the property, probably. They, guess what? They haven't figured it out yet.
Well, the gang hit Wami twice. Assessment value on the property plus VAT they have to be paying for the goods and things they're selling, right? I don't know.
They're gonna get the blight for a while.
Oh, jeez, Lord, Father, rest a hand on these Trinidadians. I beg. I glad I is a Bajan. Good evening, Bishnu. How are you? I is a Bajan today. I ain't a Trini.
Dr. Bishnu.
Good evening, Dr. Ragoonath.
Good evening.
I hope you have a parlor downstairs by you,
I do have no parlor.
I don't even know. I hope you have a parlor in your yard too. Not even in your yard somewhere. People that put parlor in their yard.
So Bishnu,
I used to have cows.
Bishnu, your neighbors next door, they gonna get hit hard then.
Well, everybody getting it.
You know who?
Yeah.
So doctor, you know about Gobar?
Yes.
Dr. Ragoonath, we just listened to the Minister of Local Government. He was asked two simple questions.
I saw the recording.
Eh?
I saw the recording.
Do you know they have a local government reform computer?
You gotta turn it on. You only turn on the switch. Or maybe you only plug it on yet. I don't know.
Yeah, Doc, I ain't gonna lie to you. When I listened to the man comment, I said, "But wait," I said, "That fella going to making an analogy of a computer, and it's simple question.
Yes or no?
Listen, the local election, they're telling people it's based on local government reform. If the act can pass, the prime minister and the cabinet can send it to the president and talk done. No councillor can tell the parliament or could tell the prime minister or could tell the president to do anything with any law. No councillor, no corporation, no CEO, nobody.
All right. So let me just back up a little bit.
Yeah, help us.
In local government, this reform that they touted, it's good reform. I mean, I'm not doubting that.
Absolutely.
I'm not doubting that at all. I'm saying it's good reform. The challenge, however, is are we sure the government wants local government reform? And I ask that question for two simple reasons. One, if the government, now,
Let me, if I may use another example to illustrate.
A computer example? Are you going to use a computer?
No, not a computer example.
Okay, all right. Okay, good.
An example, one that all in like to use, Tobago.
Yeah.
Right? When we passed the Tobago House of Assembly Act in 1996, we did several things. Because in 1996, when they set up the THU, well, the THU was set up in 1980. They amended it and they reformed it in 1996. And in 1996, they set up what was called the Executive Council and so forth, right? That's according to the law. What the government did at that point in time was to say that we will have the election. And on the election day, we will proclaim the new law. And in proclaiming the new law, we will do two things. One, all the assemblymen who are now elected in 1996 would immediately become full-time assemblymen. Okay? And to that extent, we then move on from there. So we know now that we could have the executive council and so on. Jump to 2023. In 2022, we passed the legislation. We passed the legislation to set up the same sort of executive councils in local government, to make all local government councillors full-time and so on. Right? But guess what? We decide we're not proclaiming that legislation. Right?
Yeah.
One, and more importantly, we're going to an election on August the 14th where there's no recognition that those councillors who will be elected on August the 14th will become full-time councillors. So if there's no recognition that those people will become full-time councillors, hear what? We will have to have a next election when we want to proclaim this law and make it legal and make those councillors full-time. But bear in mind, we're saying that they are going to be elected for a 4-year term. So we get local government reform in the next 4 years.
And he also said, we all know that local government don't work. Why are you as in a ministerial position coming and making a proclamation like that? So you are admitting that, it ain't working. What you have in place now under them ain't working for the people.
Right. But you see, we come from a British system. And the British system is where we talk about ministerial responsibility. And if something don't work, the minister takes responsibility. And the minister should resign if he can't make it to work.
Thank you.
Right. But of course, we don't practice that part of the British politics. But coming back to the local government reform, I've heard Minister Alwari, and in fact, all they're talking about is when we after the election. So if PNM don't win, if PNM loses, let's say 8 councils, 8 corporations, they're not in charge of 8 of them. They only have 6. Does that mean that they're not going to proclaim the local government reform? And we're going to remain with the same local government system until, notwithstanding the law passed in 2022? And these are the real hard questions that we don't have answers for. I could give you another hard question that we don't have an answer for. And in fact, it was a question that I posed to Minister Alwari in May, the 3rd or 4th of May this year. There was a local government conference in Trinidad, Commonwealth Local Government Conference, Caribbean Local Government Conference. And of course, that was the attempt at that time to have sell to the Caribbean that we're going into this big local government reform and Commonwealth and everything. And of course, Minister Alwari came and was making the big pitch to the Commonwealth Local Government Forum that they want support and money and all kind of things like that. And I'm sitting there listening. What Minister Alwari did not know when he was making his speech was the day before, the first day of the conference, which he did not attend. At the end of that first day, a delegation of CEOs from local government authorities came to me. Said, Dr. Ragoonath, they're not listening to us. We have no mechanisms in place to implement this local government reform when it comes, and they're not doing anything about it. The following day, in presence of the representative from the Commonwealth Local Government Forum, the Englishwoman, Alwari came and after he made his presentation, he came to chat with me. So I said, Minister, we have this problem. And the man talk, you see the same way he answered you?
Yeah.
Same way he answered me.
You want to run Balizels. You want to run Balizels. You do a lot of wrong Balizels.
And and talk all around. And my colleague from Britain is sitting there listening. And then she watched me after he left. She said, Bishnu, he didn't answer you at all. I said, no, because he has no answer. Now, having said all of that, I put on record the local government proposed reform is a good package.
Well, I think it's a good package. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree.
But I don't see implementation coming. And let me ask them, even if the PNM should win back 7, or let's say we need to take an additional corporation, 8, in this election, the other 6 that remain outside, are they not going to implement the local government reform for them? And like I said before, part of that local government reform is based on the basis of executive councils in local government. Executive council means you have full-time councillors. And those who are now running for elections have not been told they are going to be full-time.
So, Doc, let me understand this. When, after the August 14th election, all the councillors that will be elected will not be full-time councillors?
No. Because that part of the law has not been proclaimed.
So that is the part they haven't sent up to the president in order for her to sign off on it?
No.
What kind of madness is that here in here, buddy? But wait. Let's say PNM wins, as you said, 8 seats, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand. If PNM win 8 seats, they still have to go and proclaim the law for those councillors to be full-time. That's both UNC and PNM.
Yes.
What? Doc, well, you're making me feel even worse now. He didn't just run me wrong Balizels. He run me wrong the Mulberry Bush too.
So when they tell you vote for PNM is a vote for local government reform, and a vote for local government reform means bringing on property tax, well, maybe we'll start there. So maybe the next thing that they will send to the president for the president to sign off on the implementation of property tax. So we still reach a stage where we have an executive council. We still reach where all councils are full-time. Because we're now going to put in place the mechanism for local government to get money.
But Doc, so you piqued my interest again here. So his statement was that the commercial part of the property tax is not going to come on stream after August the 14th. It's
Right.
only your private property.
Yeah, a residential
Your
property.
residential property. Your residential property.
Yeah.
So if you have a parlor is considered to be mixed use.
Yeah.
And if he said, his words are not mine, if mixed use, then you can be charged the same thing for your residential property and the other part that's considered to be mixed use, which is your parlor.
Right.
So your parlor have to be charged as a commercial property.
Right.
There's no other category to put it in.
Right.
So Doc, I don't know. I don't know. Something I'm missing a few brain cells. I don't understand. And then
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Let me explain it the way we understand it. The way we were made to understand it is simply this. What the government has gone ahead and done was simply to get on the roll of the revenue authorities, the residential property. So they said they had to get more than half, more than 50% of the residential properties on that roll, and then they could start charging property tax.
Correct.
Right? Now, I have no problem with that. I submitted my documentation, so I am supposed to be one of those who are going to be on the road. So they're going to charge me property tax.
Right.
But my next door neighbor didn't submit anything and is not on the road. How they assessing the next door neighbor property?
They will send a drone. They will send a drone over the person's property and see what it is and take pictures and things. And then they will have a magnifying glass to see how much bedrooms they have inside, and then they will assess.
No, they got an X-ray. So they have one with an X-ray machine.
It's like a beam me up, Scotty. But Doc, just hold that thought for a quick minute. We're gonna go for a quick station identification. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Stick and stay. We're gonna go for a short station identification, and we'll be right back. It's Ansem, Diana, and you in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM, and of course we have with us tonight, no stranger to in the village, Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this short message.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
We're back with you. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. If you have joined us, we have with us tonight political scientist Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath, who is no stranger to in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And we are discussing property tax. We're discussing local government reform. And before Dr. Bishnu leaves, we like to have his opinion on the what's going on in Tobago and the demonization, in my words, not his, of Tobago. So Dr. Bishnu, let's continue with the property tax. Help us here and kind of clear some stuff up for us. Go ahead.
Well, basically what they have done in property tax is simply only doing assessments of those residential properties. Industrial properties have not been assessed, or they haven't asked them to submit. Commercial properties where, for instance, part of the building is for mixed use and whatever else, and will be commercial, I am not sure whether they have assessed them or not. So, this is the part where we've been told, or what we've been told, with regard to local government reform will entail that the local government authorities will only get the revenues that come from residential property, not from commercial, not from industrial, not from agriculture. Hence the reason why there's no rush for them now to go and look at commercial and industrial and agricultural. they are only looking at residential property. They have only put the residential properties on the roads. So everybody who has a small parlor, for instance, Diana's, the house they had before her mother rebuilt, had a mechanic living downstairs, working, doing, fixing cars downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been part of what, commercial?
Mixed use. That is mixed use.
Right. But that has not been, but that would not have been assessed to put to go on the roads. And even if it is assessed, that doesn't go to local government because it's only the residential assessment. Revenue from residential assessment will go to local government.
You know,
That's in accordance with the local government proposal. And the act that has been passed in Parliament, but not yet proclaimed. The father, the attorney of the government of it.
so Doc, you just piqued my interest again now, you piqued my interest now because I have other questions now. If I have a residential property, right, and they're only gonna assess the residential part, right, and they're not gonna assess the part that's considered a commercial property. What I want to do, I want to make as much commercial as possible because they wouldn't assess it now. But when you come back to assess it, I will make it residential back again. And I just tell you, well, you already assessed this, because this is now residential property because you already came before and you assessed the residential property. This is pure. And in my estimation, shouldn't you be assessing the commercial properties first because you get more money from them as opposed to residential? Am I missing something?
You should be assessing everybody all at the same time.
Okay,
Whether it
all
be
right.
residential, commercial, industrial, whatever. The point about it, however, is because they're so focused on okay. So again, let's go back to local government reform. See, we are to play this in both sides, right? Go back to local government reform. Local government reform says that we now want to give local government authorities, uh, corporations, a stated amount of money. A stated amount of money. So it doesn't really depend on the Minister of Finance every year to come and say, Port of Spain, you're getting 100 million.
Right.
Arima, you're getting 20 million. Port 14, you're getting 20 million. San Fernando, you're getting 60 million. Pina Aldebe, you're getting 12 million. Right? Local government reform says we're now going to say we have monies that will come from property tax that will go direct to that. So we can't sit there and have money. So one thing they said they didn't have money to buy diesel to go and use truck on water.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a problem, right? Mm-hmm. Now we have to say that we are going that route and we want to know that they have money. Having said that they have money, this is the big challenge now. And they're still depending on central government for money? Yes. Mm-hmm. So they're still depending on central government for money. But central government now, if central government was going to give Port of Spain 100 million, and we know that they're getting 60 million, or they're supposed to collect 60 million from property tax. Mm-hmm. Well, the central government only giving them 40 million.
Yeah, and I asked that question. I asked that specific question. Is central government going to give the same allocation or central government going to take off? Right? If they get 60 million and they was getting 100 million, central government going to say, boss, or they get 60 million in property tax, we only giving only 40 million.
Right. So that's why it is imperative that they focus on getting the property tax rules residential properties on so that we can make sure they get money. Now, take for instance, a Cuba Tabaqui Talpara Regional Corporation, where you have all our point leases and whatever else. If they go and do industrial valuations and assessments and say all of that going to Cuba Tabaqui, you know how much money Cuba Tabaqui will get, they wouldn't have no problem again. But we say, no. Not industrial, only residential. So those are the challenges that we face as we go along.
You know, but Dr. Ragoonath, I want to ask you a question since we're in property tax. So my next door neighbor is not paying these. Our property tax is assessed differently, right? It's assessed based on the land and the property value, right?
Right.
And my next door neighbor could have a 3-bedroom house just like mine, or a 4-bedroom house, and they could be paying a total different tax. And it's based on square footage too as well. They could be paying a total different tax from us, right? In Trinidad, everything is based on the annual rental value, 3% across the whole country. So if I live in Westmoreland, for example, right, I will pay 3% based on the annual rental value. It's the percentage minus a 10% deduction. And that 10% too, I question that if the government could come 4 years from now and say, we want to reduce that 10% and make it 5%. But that's a discussion for another day, right? Why it is that people from the urban areas in Trinidad paying the same 3% as people who in Westmoreland who could afford it? Why wasn't there a scale, right, to say that, all right, your house is $1 million and over, you will pay X amount. Your house is, 700, if you assess the annual rental value, right? And that the poor people in Trinidad wouldn't have to pay $100 a month, because a few years ago, the Prime Minister was against paying $100 a month. He had said he was against property tax back then. But as you know, they say yesterday is yesterday and today is today. Why wasn't it sort of a sliding scale rather than everybody having to pay 3% across the board?
Okay, so maybe you have more information than me. We're not sure. I am not sure. Maybe I should say we. I am not sure. I know 3 years ago, when they started talking about property tax, and when they had started inviting people, they had this sliding scale. That was part of the design. And in fact, for instance, we were told, I am from St. Augustine, we were told that we were going to be in a higher rating than somebody in Tacarigua. Okay? But we don't know. Nobody has come back to us and told us how they're going to how they're going to assess that annual rental value.
Okay.
We don't know.
Okay.
So our concern here is simply one which says, I am in St. Augustine, somebody's in Currap, somebody's in Valsine. Currap might be at a lower rental value. When I say lower rental value, although they might whether there's a sliding scale between St. Augustine and Currap and Valsine, we don't know what's the scale. Because I've been trying to figure out what was my rental value. Can't figure out that yet. I've been trying to figure out whether St. Augustine was the rating that they have given to St. Augustine as opposed to Currap, as opposed to Valsine, as opposed to Chaguanas. We haven't been able to get those things. So my personal thinking is that property tax will come like a thief in the night.
So Doc, when
go ahead. Before you go on, one more thing.
Yeah.
And you see the same thing I'm telling you there. I have a big fear for those people who will turn out to be termed mixed property.
Mixed use, yeah.
Mixed use. because they don't have a clue
that it coming.
When it coming.
Yeah.
How it coming.
Yeah. And Doc, I was having a discussion with a person, and the person hit me to that. They say, Ansem, you know that if you have a little parlor downstairs, no, I asked the person. Well, I use it in a parlor because I'm from Laventille and we know parlor. I said, if you have a parlor, he said, yeah, that is commercial property. You have a little a hardware store. That is commercial property. Anything other than your residential property, those other things are considered to be commercial property. That's why I asked the question. You understand? So you have a rude awakening coming for you. If you live in Laventille and you have a little parlor, right? And they're telling you now that what is the big deal? You're going to pay $50 a month. That's untrue. Because when they're going to tax that parlor, that tax as a commercial property tax is higher than the annual rental value of 3%. So that might be an additional, who knows, maybe an additional $50. So instead of it being $50, it's now $100. And I haven't heard anything about it. All I've heard is that they try to deny it. That's true.
Dr. Ragoonath.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good evening again. Question: has there been information coming out as to what action will be taken if persons don't pay that tax?
Well, in accordance with all property tax regulations, and this is not only here across the world, you do pay a tax. At some point in time, the government can come and levy on your property and sell your property in order that they recoup on their property taxes. That is standard property tax legislation across the world. And that I think is part of and parcel of what is our legislation on property tax.
But is the people aware of that?
I am assuming that they are. Because of them.
Doc, this is something all they're concentrating on is how much it will cost you, That is going to cost you $50 a month. And when you're 50 months, that is only $600 for the year. So that should be nothing. That should be nothing. What are you worrying yourself for? However, if you don't pay that tax for years in this country, we have what's called a property tax lien. And they put a property tax lien on your property and they sell your property. They sell the tax lien to a developer.
Yeah.
And then that developer own your property,
And that is, like I said, that's normal property tax regulations across the world.
Boy, I don't know, boy. People, I guess we had to stay in our corner, boy, because we asking too much tough questions. We trying. Oh, we don't like the PNM. That's why we asking these questions. That's what they say. They always call me a PNM hater. I'm a PNM hater. All of us sometimes a PNM hater. You hate the PNM. Well, Dr. Ragoonath, depends on what side you on. You might be a UN seated on a PNM tomorrow. Depends on your opinion.
Well, that has been for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That has been a proper description of me. Today I'm PNM, tomorrow I'm UNC, the next day I'm somebody else.
Yeah, well, you have a third party now, NTA. But Doc, due to all seriousness, right? I will just like the government to come and tell the people, this is what may happen to you 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. Let's expect this is going to happen to you, right? Property taxes come in, right? This is how we're going to assess your property, right? You have a residential property. This is how we're going to assess it. And based on how we assess it at a value. Then that value, we give you a 10% discount, right? And then we have a value, and we're going to take 3% of that as the annual rental value. And that is your property tax, right? Be transparent with people and just tell them. When you're running around Balize House and you're running around the Mulberry Bush and you're talking about you had to turn on the computer and turn off the computer, I mean.
By now, you should realize the one thing we don't have from this government is transparency. Okay.
Oh boy.
The simple thing last week was that procurement um, amendment that they had to bring. How many times have they asked? And in fact, the Chamber of Commerce and all the American Chan and everybody else put out a statement earlier this week saying, be careful what you're going to do with that procurement legislation. Why? Because, for instance, they came and they said we had an order against what, for things that the judiciary is supposed to purchase. And somebody asked a question from one of those illustrious groups that signed that statement earlier this week. Well, here now, in accordance with the law, if you want to pass an order of exemption, publish the names of all the contractors.
Correct.
Who were given contracts and
easy.
How much they were paid.
Yes, easy. That's transparent. Just publish it.
Did you hear? We had the whole debate in the lower house and in the upper house. Did they tell us anything about how much money was spent by the judiciary?
Nah.
Did they tell us how much money was spent in CARICOM meeting?
Well, they told us 9.5 million, didn't we?
No. 9.5 million.
Yeah.
That's a wrong figure.
How it was allocated then? How it was itemized?
Who get the contracts?
Right. Correct is right.
Was there any procurement oversight to who get the contracts?
No, there wasn't any. They know that.
And they're not going to, and that is where transparency is not something that this government is willing to do. And leveling with the people, telling them what property tax will mean, not going to tell them. Leveling with the people on how you're going to spend your resources, that's not them business. That's our business. Okay? So transparency. And this is why I've complained since years now. We have a government, but we don't have governance. Because we don't have transparency and we don't have accountability.
Yeah.
Kamala Prasad asked a serious question in that debate on that procurement legislation. And there was not a word in response. The question was simply, just in May, when we did the mid-year budgetary review, $20 million was allocated for conferences, international conferences and regional conferences. Did anybody tell us whether that $9.5 million was part of that 20 million? Well, the mere fact that they brought an exemption tell us that $9.5 million was not part of that 20 million. So where did 20 million went?
Transparency and accountability. It's somewhere. You had to turn on the computer to find that. When we turn on the computer, we're going to find it. So Doc, let's quickly go over to Tobago. Right? So we are having this discussion that somehow the chief violated some standing orders of the Tobago House of Assembly, and that the presiding officer should not have allowed him to make the statement that he made in the Tobago House of Assembly. Right? Now, I got, this is what I got. I put up here 71-213, privileges and immunities of number 70-1-2-3, which talks about the rules, standing orders of the assembly. There shall be freedom of speech in the chamber of assembly, and so on and so forth. What is your take on what happened in the Tobago House of Assembly?
Well, the question, this is bigger than it seems. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
The mere fact that you now have what is called political policing in Tobago. That's what they're calling it now.
You mean the PNM policing the THA?
Correct, yes.
And the demonization of the THA.
Right.
My
Yes.
word. Okay.
Okay. So you now have that. But the point about it is whether or not, for instance, question. And I in fact, I think the news, they carried two stories about with me today on that or something, that effect, where I said that we still need to investigate all the allegations that Farley made. And I have heard the Prime Minister, first in a written statement, and then in a media conference, telling the police, continue the investigation, leave no stone unturned. But that's about the voice recordings.
Right.
But he never said anything about, let us institute an investigation into the allegations that Farley made in the House of Assembly. He never said that. The police commissioner never said that she will investigate if it comes to her. She said when she made her media statement on the same day, she said, I have no complaint. So as far as I'm concerned, is nothing to be bothered about. But what Farley Augustine has said is something that needs to be thoroughly investigated. Now, there could be, and I'm not saying there is, or I'm not saying there isn't, there could be another element or tangential aspect to what Farley came to the House and said. So, for instance, the gentleman who supposedly came to him and tell him and made the allegations that PNM paid me so much, there was another question that could be asked. And the other question which could be asked, which Farley did not answer and did not say, but which by recording the gentleman without his knowledge, at least that's what he said in the House, could lead to those kinds of questions. Did the man come to extort from Farley? Well, here now, PNM paid me $270. How much you paying me? Right? So we don't know if that is part and parcel of that those meetings. We don't know. But the point about it is that he is saying we had these meetings with the Prime Minister and the Mrs. Ali and whoever else, and question, are those things going to be investigated now? I don't know. I said on, I think it, again, I said in another media that I agree with you. Things that are said in the House of Assembly are not open to criminal proceedings. Once you are elected to a house, you have freedom of speech. Whether or not they understood the standing orders or not, that's a different question. But let me put it to you a little bit differently. If the standing orders were breached, if there are options are available to the PNM to deal with that. It's not Farley who breached it, eh? Bear this in mind. Is the presiding officer who gave him permission.
And that's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said.
So it's the presiding officer who gave him permission. So if the PNM have a problem with the presiding officer, bring a motion of no confidence against the presiding officer. Mind you, 2 out of 19 doesn't carry you anywhere. Even if you go to 3 out of 19, doesn't carry you anywhere in that no confidence motion in the presiding officer.
Just similar to the Parliament of Trinidad.
Exactly.
Similar to the Parliament of Trinidad, yes.
And likewise, they could take the matter to the Privileges Committee of the Assembly. But again, we end up in the same situation.
Same.
Right? So whether we go Privileges Committee or we go no confidence motion, doesn't make a difference. And the PNM knows that. So they will make a lot of noise on the outside. Whether they could do anything on the inside, whether they will do anything on the inside is another issue. The other question that in fact I made mention of is that the Prime Minister has directed the Attorney General to go in there and see whether or not there was any breach in the...
That just doesn't make any sense, you know? I mean, that guy sometimes just makes me wonder about that guy, you know. Here's the guy who brought email gate to the Parliament. A guy brought lies upon lies upon lies. And he knew it was lies, you know. He knew it was lies, you know. Right? Because I knew, right, that I had dealings with that in this country. Right? And I was, well, my good friend, God rest his soul, was dealing with someone in the PNM, high up, a financer of the PNM. I ain't calling no name. A financer of the PNM who was dealing with him because my friend had a computer consultant company. And they were concerned about these fake emails. And they told them that those emails is fake. They told them, but they didn't want to hear nothing about that. They didn't want to. They wanted to go ahead and make it because, you know, it was the silly season, right? And
it got the result that they wanted.
Exactly. And you want to come now and tell people to go and investigate Fali?
But hearing is the big difference between then and now. When Rowley went to the Parliament and read Email Gate, the Prime Minister immediately directed that an investigation be launched into the allegations, even though the allegations were partly against her.
Yes.
At that point in time.
Yes, and she gave up her phone.
Right.
She gave up her phone.
And she was Prime Minister.
Yep.
And she said, go investigate.
Mm-hmm.
Here is an issue where an allegations be made about this Prime Minister. He ain't saying not about investigate me, you know.
Investigate he. Investigate the other fella who made the allegations. Yeah. He made the allegations against me. Go and investigate him because I'm Teflon. I'm Teflon tape. I am the only one supposed to make any allegations. You ain't supposed to make none. And if you make allegations, I go bring the PNM PPPS, TTPS, the TTPS, and have them investigate you. Listen, this whole thing needs to have an independent investigation.
And I said that from in fact, as Fali completed his presentation, I was on Tobago Updates, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them immediately, before in the 12 o'clock, at 12 noon on that day, I told them the first thing I will hear is that the PNM, the Prime Minister, and the Police Commissioner will deny all the allegations.
They have to deny it.
I told them immediately that this needs to be investigated, and the police service should not be called upon to investigate itself.
Correct.
This should be called up. You should now call upon the DPP's office or the Police Complaints Authority,
or even CARICOM. Even CARICOM, we could bring them in too because they went and kidnapped that guy in Barbados. So if they could do that, right?
So I said we need to get an independent organization, independent of both the government and independent of the police service to do the investigation. But the question then begs, who is going to do the appointing of that independent?
Not the government.
Not the government.
Not the government.
And the police commissioner has said absolutely nothing more about undertaking any investigation. So I am assuming that from her point of view, we ain't gonna waste with time.
Yeah.
Plenty of people in Tobago running down 46 warrants. And I listened to Fali that day, and Fali is right. So I want to know how much more police the police commissioner is going to put on this case when they have to go through the 1,000 plus files of people who were employed since 2021, since December 2021, by the THA, because I don't know who is the propagandist who they recruited. They could have, it could be a teacher in a school, it could have been a pharmacist in the hospital. I don't know who they employed it. So now who is going to go through all those HR files, and who is going to determine who is the propagandist that the THA employed from amongst all their workers? Because to go through all them files, that's a long time.
But Dr. Raghunath, I haven't heard anything about the audit report that was laid and a PS was suspended from his position because of alleged corruption in a certain department in the THA when it was back then.
Well,
Right?
the audit report has not been laid publicly, so we don't know what's in that audit report. What we know for a fact is that that audit report was done. That audit report was sent to the chief administrator, a chief administrator who was employed by the THA before the Farley Augustine administration took office. That chief administrator was in the office before Farley Augustine took office. So it's not like he appointed that chief administrator. That chief administrator was the one, after reading the report, submitted that report to the Public Service Commission. And it is the Public Service Commission who would have suspended the gentleman. I don't think that Farley Augustine and them could suspend somebody at that level, because that has to be done by the Public Service Commission. And hence, it is because of the I shouldn't say it is because. Let me be very clear. It could possibly have been because the chief administrator was the one who signed off on that audit report to the Public Service Commission that would have led that chief administrator's name to be put on that list for her house to be searched.
Yes, correct is right. I want to agree with that, because she was partially responsible for the report that went to the Public Service Commission, and the Public Service Commission taken action in order to suspend the PS.
Right.
So she's enemy number one now.
Right. So that's how she became part and parcel of this listing of 46 people or 43 people. How many are had to be searched? And remember, she was the first one they went by.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
No, but again, she was not employed by Farley Augustine administration. She was not employed under his regime.
They met her there.
They met her there. So we have to be wary of how we treat with the politics. I sit back here. I am very concerned as to how things are happening in terms of our governance structures. To be honest with you, I empathize and sympathize with a lot of Tobagonians who hold the view that this government is attempting to, the central government is attempting to stymie the THA, to make the THA look bad, because guess what? 2025 ain't far away.
It ain't far away.
And 2025 could mean one of two things or one of three things. One, if Tobagonians cannot simply see Farley Augustine and his colleagues as a set of thief and robbers and will do nothing good for Tobago, then they will probably vote against the PNM candidates. So what do we do in the meantime? We have to make sure that Farley Augustine and them cannot deliver. Get the message out. So in the same way we have it in Trinidad, it's the same playbook we're going to use in Tobago. In Trinidad, blame Kamala, blame Kamala, blame Kamala, blame Kamala, blame Kamala. Well, now in Tobago, blame Farley, blame Farley, blame Farley, blame Farley, blame Farley, and get the people of Tobago to vote PNM. If they don't get that, and we end up with a situation in Trinidad where NTA, UNC, and if they don't look sharp, they might pull in one or two other parties, and even PEP, depending on how PEP goes, the orange people, who you had me at trying to defend last week. Right?
You remember that, Doc? You remember that?
Yeah. So we have to ask ourselves, if there's a coalition in Trinidad of opposition parties, and PNM cannot keep their 2 seats in Tobago.
Cancel Christmas, it's over. Cancel Christmas.
Right.
It's over. And Doc, I have to say, that is why, I'm saying central government, I'm saying that's why the Prime Minister have to try to demonize, dismiss, discredit the THA as much as possible by any means necessary.
So that they will disown him.
I make no qualms about saying that. And that is sad because Trinidad is a democracy, a representative democracy. And when you have a man like him, right, people say he's a dictator. I don't know. But, he's shown tendencies of being a dictator. And he says he's not a dictator. But, I don't call myself, what I am. Other people look at you and figure out what you are. Right? So other people are figuring out what he is, right? But he don't believe that. And it's sad, Doc, because at the end of the day, the people of Trinidad and Tobago are suffering. Right? And they don't benefit from Dr. Chaos. I call him Dr. Chaos. Because anytime he has a press conference, it creates chaos when he's finished.
He's astute.
Platform for the PNM, when he's finished, chaos comes out of it.
That is part of his astuteness, Anselm. What's wrong with you?
I know, he's very astute. He's very astute.
While I hear you on that, I think this is something that goes beyond that. His fight with Tobago is not with Farley and them. His fight with Tobago is with himself.
Or because they kick him out?
No, people in Tobago could reject he.
Oh, okay.
Until now, they're embracing Robinson. Oh, they could never embrace Rowley.
He's a jilt. Yeah. But Doc, Clive Dutton says, Farley Augustine is extraordinary gladiator. If you see he and a lion fighting, feel sorry for the lion. He knows how to plant a dagger in the heart of hypocrisy. This is Clive Dutton now, Pastor Clive Dutton. This is not fake, This is on his Facebook page. When Pastor Clive Dutton come out and makes a statement like this, I'm sorry for Dr. Chaos. And Doc, really and truly, many people, especially us in the diaspora, we just want the country to go good, both Trinidad and Tobago. We have never had this sort of demonization in the past 21 years in Tobago. Have we ever had this sort of discrepancy in Tobago?
Not to this level. Not to this level. And bear in mind, I mean, if you listen to even when Farley made his speech on Wednesday, Farley cited the fact that it wasn't the PNM was opposed to giving the THA greater autonomy in 1996. And it is a fact the PNM would prefer Tobago remain the way it was. And, always show your development is dependent upon the good, benevolent nature of the PNM. And for the 21 years that Orville London took charge of the THA, well, not Orville, but I mean, the majority of course, he was there. I mean, you had Kevin for a period and so on. But for that majority of that 21 years when the PNM was in power, they held, I mean, bear in mind, even when the UNC the People's Partnership was in government, there was some degree of acrimony in how the central government was treating with the THA, but it did never reach a stage. And it never reached a stage because there was never somebody who wanted to be accepted by the Tobagonian people after his rejection as much as our current Prime Minister.
And listen, and Tobagonians are turning them more and more and more. And I'm happy because Shamfa Kojo and Ayanna Webster Roy gonna have to suffer the consequences of his actions. That's what it's gonna be.
You see, I mean, way back, well, I shouldn't say way back. In fact, again, in May of this year, I presented a paper at the Services Conference where I showed from 2017, PNM was losing support in Tobago. And the biggest jump in their loss of support came after the January 2021 elections, because people could not understand how Tobagonians could not understand how PNM could be so greedy and want everything even though they didn't win an election. And they decided to make them pay for it, which they did, right? And we are heading up to that level where you see this bit of action is going to probably create more harm than good for the PNM. So Rowley now has to find some measure of damage control to protect himself and his party as they move into a general election. Whether he's going to try to send in Amo, who unfortunately, I mean, all the various issues that he's dealt with in Trinidad and represented Trinidadian has left me with great disappointment of him as that illustrious legal luminary that we thought that he was.
Dr. Ragoonath, you are being very generous in your description.
Right, but we are disappointed, and I don't know whether Mr. Amo will go back there and what he's going to find this time, because remember, he was the one, and I'm here quoting Minister Imbert, who directed Minister Imbert to go and give that order of exemption to the procurement in the Procurement Act, which should have been known to both Imbert and the Attorney General that it was an illegal act.
Yep.
So the Attorney General was advising the Minister of Finance to do something illegal.
100%. 100%. And they get caught with their hands in the cookie jar.
Exactly.
And then they had to come back with a special meeting in order to change when they'd already broke the law. Do you imagine the government acting like bandits? If the government could act like bandits, what about them real bandits out in the street? Because they're acting like bandits. You spend money, anyway, Doc, I don't know. I hope this local government.
Are you suggesting that the government is a role model for
bandits? Yes, this government is a role model for bandits, because them bandits saying.
I didn't say that. I didn't say it.
I saying it. The governments, them fellas and them saying, if the government could act as bandit in a procurement law, they could act as bandit with respect to local government election, right? They could change the law to extend it. Then you go to the Privy Council and the Privy Council tell all you, nah, all you acting like bandits, or they had to call a local government election, and then they had to call local government election. Because Faris Al-Rawi said he wasn't going to call it till December. Another thing he slipped and say. You know, he said he wasn't
No,
going to
no, no. That was not true. That was something that they had suggested a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So something that suggested that they were going to call it in December, right? And they make them have to call it. Right? Them bandits and them taking their cue from the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
No, but you see, it goes
follow the leader, follow the leader.
Yeah.
It goes a little bit further than that, you know. When the Privy Council have ruled that they have to call the election, remember the remaining part of the unproclaimed computer that they turn on is the fact that these local government councillors are now supposed to be full-time executive members of council.
Yeah.
That was the intention, that if they had gone till December, they would have said, okay, now we're going to look for people like that. The mere fact that we're not looking for people like that now, and we're giving anybody 10 days, I am expecting that they will now come and say, well, we have to call another election if we want local government reform.
So Doc, just before you go, right? So Doc, wait. They're telling us this local government election is based on local government reform.
Yeah.
So how you going to now have to come and tell people, well, we make another mistake and this really wasn't based on local government reform, but we had to call another election now to really do local government reform?
Because then we'll have to tell people that the councillors have to be full-time councillors.
Trinidad area.
Doc.
Okay, let me give you one little additional piece of it, right? You know, until now, we talk about councillors have to be local government, full-time councillors, right? If you have full-time councillor, you have to work out salary and everything for somebody to be there full-time. Until now, you know, they ain't had no idea about how much you're paying councillors when they come full-time. So if they have no idea, you can't tell me I get into a council. If I was on the ballot paper and I win the election, and I get a stipend, and then they come and you can't come and tell me, can I? From now on you have to work full time. Something wrong.
And if you have a full-time job, because
then you have to choose.
You have to decide.
Right. Because when you were elected, and as you go into this election, as you are going to be elected, you are not going to be elected as a full-time person, where there's a salary at the end of the day. You are going to get a stipend.
Does the councillors know that? Does these councillors know that now?
Yes, and that's the context of this election. That is why I'm saying, after this election, if we really want the local government reform, we're going to have to call back an next election.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Ragoonath.
But remember, this election, Diana said it nicely. Dr. Pete Rowley is an astute politician. He plays his politics and he knows his politics well.
Yeah, he knows it well. No doubt about it.
So let me give you one thing that he did in this election. He came out sometime at the beginning of June and said we're going to have a local government election on the 14th of August. But immediately he said nomination day is going to be on the 26th of June. You know why he said 26th of June? Because he did not want no coalitions and accommodations and alliances formed. Because had he given them until the 26th of July, which is the normal time, 3 weeks before the election is nomination day. In this particular case, he took 7 weeks before the election for nomination day. Because had he allowed it to go 3 weeks, you know, PP might have been in that alliance accommodation with the UNC2 and Gary and all of that. Then what would have happened to the PNM?
Never a dull moment in Trinidad.
So the hope was to to do what the British taught us. Divide and rule.
Correct is right.
So you keep all the parties divided because you give them time to talk. You keep them divided and separated. So whereas we could have one candidate in Forest against the PNM, you now have 3 candidates. So the opposition votes going to be divided. Well, 3 candidates, 4 candidates, whatever. So the opposition votes will be divided. So the PNM, once they get a court of order, they win. Right? And that's how Rowley played this against the opposition party.
So Doc, just before you go, right? Have you made a prediction on this upcoming election, this upcoming local government election?
No, sir, I don't predict. I don't have no crystal ball.
Okay.
Doc, let me ask you about Tobago. Go back to Tobago. What is your opinion as to what would become of the Tobago dilemma or debacle as it stands right now?
I believe if the government has their way, Farley Augustine said it nicely. They're going to tie up this thing for the next 2 years. The government is always going to be lashing out at Tobago and the Farley Augustine administration because they had hoped that they would have gotten after the breakup of the PDP. They had hoped that, and they still remember Dennis and Anson. Dennis and they was immediately call back elections now. We do have a mandate, this, that, and the other, but they didn't succeed there.
That failed miserably.
So there's now the attempt now to let's see whether we could find another means to force them into an election. So this is another means where we're going to say, all right, fine, you all are now breaching the law and abusing state power and whatever else. But Farley Augustine and they are fully cognizant of the fact that they can't move him until he's ready to go. Or the other week until December 2025, which is after the general election. Right? So if you're going to wait until after the general election, they now have to find a mechanism to undermine him and undermine him completely. So I doesn't expect that he will have an easy life for the next 2 years, 2.5 years, but he's going to have to survive. And knowing full well that there's always going to be the chipping at the PDP, at any other party in Tobago, in order that the PNM regain some degree of credibility to get the people to at least vote for them. I don't know how to.
And if a general election was called today, you think the PNM could win back the 2 seats in Tobago?
Today, it might be difficult. Today, it might be difficult because you see, this recent episode has, remember I said in 2021, after the PNM did not want to share power after the January election, people moved away from the PNM. more than 2,000 people who voted for the PNM in January did not vote for the PNM in December.
True.
This recent debacle that just occurred drove a stake even deeper into Tobago, where Tobago becomes even more divided. And people are seeing it in Tobago, and I mean, I'm hoping that by the end of, or sometime next month, I actually go on the ground in Tobago and hear how people think. But as at this point in time, I don't think that the PNM could, it has done sufficient to recoup where they were. Now, this action that Rowdy and them did was in the hope that it would have turned the other way. Farley came back out and, like you said, according to Pastor, the man fighting tooth and nail, and he's going to continue to fight tooth and nail. So we wait and see how it goes.
So, Doc, we want to say thank you so very kindly for joining us again. It's always a pleasure having you in the village. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. Thanks, Doc.
It's been my pleasure.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
Of course, folks, that's Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath. Always a pleasure here to join us in the village, and we are always happy to have him in the village. You know, he brings a lot of knowledge and wisdom. So, guys,
you see how astute Dr. Rowley is now, right?
No, we agree. We agree. He's very
okay.
We agree.
Don't underestimate him, eh?
No, we agree. But I think he back up the wrong tree there in Tobago. I think he finally meet him match. You know, he meet a 38-year-old fellow who could match him. And he's a Tobago.
And another Tobagonian.
Correct is right. Tobago against Tobago. You know? I don't think he will win that fight, man. It's 38 against 72, you know. What Chucky say? 72 car going to 38?
30. I don't think it was somewhat 38. I think he was somewhat 15 or something like that.
Just a little analogy with different numbers. Yeah, so folks, put closing comments in the chat. Miss Kuva, welcome. And I saw we had a new person here too as well. Miles, Darren Reed as well. Welcome. So guys, put closing comments in the chat. Miss Kuva, Bonnie, Darren Reed, Nadia. I didn't see Eugene tonight. Bonnie Roberts, Kapiza, Rennie, if you're still there. Victoria, Takesha. I think Rose was there too. Rose as well. Put closing comments in chat. Let's go for a quick station identification. We'll be right back after this short message. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Trinidad, to leave here, boy, you must be mad. This is the land of milk and honey, rum and coke and easy money. While those birds we were singing, alarm bells kept on ringing. Pundits on each pulpit saying, oh heart and our soul decaying. Suddenly we wake up to a living nightmare, not least while electorals ask, how did we ever come to this? But so long we hearing, you got to stand up and be counted. But getting on. We're fighting, making porn. Us schoolgirls, you won't believe. Live MMA, they pulling weave. Check the vibes, they're living by. Dance all slackness, get rich or die. Alkaline to Movado. Mention maestro, they don't know. No morals, no ethics. There is a centrifugal black hole. Naughty must move quick to wake their conscience and save their soul. For long we've been hearing evil triumphs when good men do nothing. No triggers pump while words be frothin', and while church attendance real low. Protest pack plus them casino, while black market prices haggling. Through up pots, big guns they smuggling. Spanish women are hot like their music. Saucy salsa, human traffic trend they go. We can't wait. The devil making hay while we sleep. Tell them talk is cheap. We're caught in the world when we have to reap. While we look on them as more mothers who weep. We're caught in the world when we had to reap.
It's individuals with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. The whirlwind we had to reach, boy. Stand up and be counted. Yeah. Another witness. You know. So, folks, it's always a pleasure. I mean, there was so much information shared tonight, and the two buzzword is transparency and accountability. And I don't think that we are getting transparency and accountability from this government. A friend of mine told me how all we just be doing is bashing the PNM. Yeah. All right, let's use his words. If we bashing the PNM, right? Who we should bash? The UNC? They're not in power. Eh?
All we asking is that they be fair and do the right thing.
That's it.
We trying to speak truth to power.
Yep. Well, we bashing the PNM.
I bashing them.
UNC making no law in the country. Eh?
Fair play and justice. That's all we need. Fair play and justice.
Right. That's all we need. Nothing more than that. So my closing quote is: the greatest lesson I've learned in life is that I still have a lot to learn. The greatest lesson I've learned in life is that I still have a lot to learn. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall said that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. And for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. Remember, your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. See you. Same WZYE time, same WZYE channel. Go ahead, Anna.
All right, Trinidad and Tobago. I want you to take heed. Political reform is important, but no reform will be greater than promoting popular awareness. We have to be bold in our national ambitions. First, we must win the fight against poverty. Second, we must improve moral standards in government and society to provide a strong foundation for good governance. And third, we must change the character of our politics to promote fertile ground for reforms. Diana Benskin, bidding you auf Wiedersehen. So we meet again.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Now, my first is from Iris Affel, an interior designer and fashion icon. And she says, my philosophy is to live life in the now. Yesterday is gone. You don't know if there's going to be a tomorrow. So you might as well enjoy today. Like I always say, the change that you need to see begins with the man in the mirror. However, when you look in that mirror, if you don't like what you see, do not be upset with the mirror. Again, do not look down on a person unless you're giving them a hand up. As I always say, love is the key, and I love you all. Be safe until our next meeting. Good night.
Thank you, Tommy.
You're welcome.
Let me go in and see what we have here in the chat. Nadia says good night, everyone. Miss Cuba said good night, everyone in the village. Blessings. He said PNM will put all sort of pressures on Farley because they PNM now to big onions. They have lost confidence of the people, and most importantly, that 2 seats are lost. Yeah, all coming in from Dime. But Keith did the same thing with Emailgate and lied to remove a sitting prime minister. Here's Rose Cousin comment. I am totally fed up with all of this that's going on in this place for my own fun. Plenty of it before they think to stop us from having fun too. Rose says, good night, everyone. Be safe until next time. Okay, folks. That's it. So we're gonna go to the I don't even think we want to go with that one. We go to the there we go. Good night, folks.
Hey, hey, oi, oi. Hey, hey, oi, oi. In Trinidad and Tobago, politics was we and them. That was never meant to be so, according to the anthem. But ethnic insecurity was maintained to divide us by some people in the country to sow the seeds of distrust. But we have fought a new system within the community. Now what used to be we and them has now become only we. From now on this nation is we. From now on it is you and I. From now on it is unity. From now on we flying high. All the races have come together to build a better country and create a brighter future for the whole society. The we and them thing is no more, because it is plain to see in this country from shore to shore the community is we. No more we and them, from now on this nation is we. No more we and them, from now on this nation is we and we and we and we. India and some came from Africa. Look today, their descendants are here, coexisting together. There are others who came here too, the Chinese, Syrians and such. Native people are just a few in this land that we love so much. But the politics of the day and the love for a party cause people to begin to say them is them and we is we. From now on this country is we. From now on we all shall be one. From now on that's how it shall be. From now on all division done. As today united we stand, the people of Trinbago. One country, one nation, one island. Chutney Pan and Calypso. It's Trinidad and Tobago, better known as TNT. And we want the whole world to know we see ourselves as we. No more we and them, from now on this nation is we. No more we and them, from now on this nation is we and we and we and we. India in this nation is no more. And Mother China done disappear, gone away for good, I'm sure. If we want to build a real nation, there can be no we and them. In spite of ethnic persuasion, all should fit in the system. Side by side we stand hand in hand within the society. This here paradise island, because you and I means we. From now on love and peace we. From now on race do not matter. From now on we means unity. From now on we are together. They cannot divide me again, cause we enter a new era. United we shall all remain, looking out for each other. Eric tell me matter they done. Today it is plain to see a new paradigm has begun, and that paradigm is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we and we and we and we. Some politicians have tried their best to keep we subdivided, as their policies would attest. And now we are united, using that old colonial scheme. They sought to divide and rule, because if we are not a team, we are more easy to fool. Look, they had us fighting each other, causing misery and pain. Now all these times are gone forever, before never again. From now on Trinidad is we. From now on one philosophy. From now on Tobago shall be. From now on standing equally. No more African, no more Indian. We shall all be citizens, forged together to build one nation. Though we are different persons, done away with the we and them. In this land of La Trinity, whenever we sing the anthem, from now on is only we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we and we and we and we. From now on this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we and we and we and we. From now on this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we and we and we and we.